You're still on your Feel Good Breakfast show right here on S3. And this morning, we're jumping on into a topic that is oh so important because it is about our children's health. We all know that sometimes we can be bombarded about all of this information coming from different angles, and it's hard to know exactly what is true. Well, my friend, getting the right knowledge is how you can be on the right side of that. And also, more than anything else, we always have the right experts to let us know what you need to know to be the best parent out there. And this morning, we're joined by none other than the beautiful CEO of Phytoceutics. I'm talking about Laura Johnston, and she's joined by GP and someone who is so passionate about wellness. It is the beautiful Carmen Briner. Let's give them a feel-good welcome as we have a chat about vaccines and immune support and a whole lot more. Guys, I don't have children yet. But for when I do have children, and for so many of our Expresso Show family members, you know, it really is difficult to sometimes be able to know exactly what's correct on the internet and who we should be listening to. Carmen, I want to start with you because you're known as Mom Doc online. And of course, you're always just helping people out with some of the questions that they have. And one question that I've seen pop up so much, even particularly on TikTok, it's a huge conversation. Are we giving our kids too many vaccines? What do you say to that?
So this is a concern that many parents have, and we can look at it two ways. So firstly, are there too many vaccines on the actual schedule?
Yeah.
And then are we giving kids too many vaccines at the same time? So looking at the schedule, that is chosen based on rigorous research, clinical data that shows that those vaccines, first, they need to be safe and they need to be effective. And secondly, we're looking at the vaccines that are protecting against diseases that cause significant mortality and morbidity in children, especially because their immune systems are underdeveloped. And then we look at the risks, so the risks versus getting the vaccine versus getting the disease. And then that's how they make that decision. And then, of course, what's really important is that disease actually prevalent in the country? Because TB in South Africa is very common, whereas in Australia, for example, they don't give the BCG vaccine because it's not an issue there.
Yes.
And then looking at the number of vaccines that we give at the same time. So parents often get worried that we are going to overwhelm a child's immune system, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
If we look at the number of antigens, so that is the protein component that is inside a vaccine. If we look at the number of antigens, it's actually really small compared to the number of antigens that a child would be exposed to in their everyday environment from a day-to-day basis. So that's not a concern, and research, again, has shown that we do not overwhelm a child's immune system by giving combination vaccines.
I love that. You see, because some people think that the doctors are just thumb sucking. I like that you said it is literally all about rigorous research, you know? And for me, I also know that a lot of people like to do their own research, where they found things like autism might be linked to these vaccines that we're giving our kids. Can you touch on that a little bit and just shed some light?
Yes, so unfortunately, that is a notion and it's a myth that has been busted time and time again by hundreds of studies. In the late 90s, I think, there was a doctor in the UK and he did a study looking at the link between the MMR vaccine, which is the measles, mumps, rubella, and he actually published a paper within The Lancet, which is a very credible journal, stating that there was a link between that vaccine and autism. Turns out, though, that the methodology behind that study was very poor. There were only 12 participants in that trial, and he had a conflict of interest, and he was getting funding from lawyers of parents who were taking vaccine manufacturers to court. So they actually had to retract that paper, and that doctor subsequently lost his medical license.
Good.
But unfortunately, since then, that myth has stuck. So it's something that, and it's been proven that vaccines do not cause autism.
I love that. Thank you for actually shedding light on that, because I think a lot of people are skeptical about it. But I want to come to you, Laura, because of course we know that sometimes there are natural ways that we can help boost our kids' immunity and just help their, you know, immune systems as a whole. Can you talk to us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, so I think it's important to support the immune system. And it's something wild, like every 2 weeks they're exposed to another, you know, virus or bacteria. So being consistent and making sure that you are supporting their immune systems the whole time is really important. The gut is super important when it comes to immune health. Something like 70% of immune health lies within the gut. It's the first barrier, I guess, when it comes into your internal system. So probiotics, crucial. Getting your children to take probiotics, not always easy, which is why we've developed this sachet called Gut, which is, it tastes like sherbet, but it's sugar-free.
I love that.
And my kids absolutely pillage my supply, so that's really great. And then also your common vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc. Difficult to get kids to take supplements, so we've launched a range of NutriBurst gummies.
Nice.
They're in little troll shapes, so kids love them. They taste like sweets, but they're sugar-free, and they have a good variety of vitamins and minerals in them.
Where was Phytoceutics when I was a kid?
I know, right?
Come on. I want medicine that tastes like sherbet. That's amazing. Carmen, I want to come back to you and just chat about, you know, when we talk about parents who are a little bit skeptical when it comes to vaccines, what advice would you give to them?
The first thing I want to say is do your research. Do the research and trust credible resources. Don't trust what you find on TikTok, Instagram, or anywhere else online. It has to be a reputable source. And then ask those questions. Go to your doctor, go to your nurse or whoever you're going to for your vaccines and ask those questions. Why are you giving the vaccine? What are the side effects, etc. And then, of course, we all know these things from COVID. Teach your children from a really young age about hand washing and how to look after your coughs and sneezes. I think if you teach your children from a young age, can become something that becomes a habitual, so yeah.
Beautiful. Well, ladies, thank you so much. I think it's always so good to be able to allow parents to feel supported in terms of this journey that they go on to protect their kids the best way they can. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It is the Phytoceutics family here to make sure that parents, you indeed have a little bit of help when it comes to making sure that your beauties are looked after and, of course, getting you knowledgeable about what it is you can do to allow them to absolutely just enjoy their lives, to go out there and be protected. And of course, should you be somebody who needs a little bit more information than what you've heard here today, I implore you, you must head on over to phytoceutics.com and you can get a whole lot of just structured information in terms of vaccines and so much more, and even just immune support as a whole. You're still on your Feel Good Breakfast show. So good to be with you.
Optimize your gut health with Phytoceutics range of pre, pro, and postbiotics. Use code EXPRESSO for 15% off at phytoceutics.com.